How's it going, everybody? Again, my name is Kyle, and this is my wife, Josephine.
Hi.
Hello. We are with Please Come Again Ice Cream in Kailua. Have you guys heard of us? Maybe? Cool, awesome. The title of today's presentation is Nothing But Dreams, and we'll get into it. But if you guys are in part of PACE, then you probably are thinking this way anyways. So, for those of you who don't know, Please Come Again is a locally sourced Hawaii-made ice cream, and we have a shop in Kailua, and in the future we'll have a shop probably in town, maybe near you guys, I hope, if we can find a great space. And here's a little snapshot of what things look like. I might just stand up too.
Sorry, we gotta go like TED Talks.
Yeah, it feels better that way. Also, I can look at the slides and remember what we're supposed to talk about.
What are we talking about?
Here's a little snapshot of the shop, ice cream, the team. By show of hands, how many people have been out to our Kailua shop? Awesome, awesome, thank you.
Okay, if you haven't, there may or may not be ice cream at the end of this presentation.
So,
we believe that ice cream is a canvas for community, and so we partner with local farms and artisans to support the local economy. Everyone from Manoa Chocolate to Tradition Coffee Roasters, who only sources the top 10% of beans around the world. We really want to invest in the local economy and Hawaii's agriculture. We like to think of our shop as a family party where the whole neighborhood is invited, and sometimes the neighborhood shows out and our shop is pumping, and it was always our dream to be the neighborhood scoop shop where everyone hangs out, and when we see something like this on a day, we're like, oh my God, our dreams are coming true. It's just, there's no feeling like it.
this is just a quick early kind of snapshot illustration of the vision that we had before we even opened the shop. And if you've been to the shop, it kind of looks pretty close to that, yeah. And a good place to start, I think, is everybody always asked us how we came up with the name Please Come Again. In fact, a lot of people are confused by it. Like, we'll say, oh, what's your name of your shop? And we'll say, Please Come Again. And they're like, what? They get very confused. But this is a love story. So Joe and I met many, many moons ago. And we weren't too much older than you guys in this picture here, just probably by like 5 or 6 years older. And we would go out like basically every weekend from our 9-to-5 jobs and just, I don't know if I can say this on camera, but we would get wasted, like literally the entire weekend. Like, it was like that, yeah. Anyway, I don't promote that, but and we loved each other like from day one. And we would find ourselves like leaving the party to just drive anywhere, just find a place at wherever, in the bar that we were, and just be alone, or just like leave altogether and just drive an hour away for no reason. And we would sit and just talk about our ideas and dreams and travels and things we wanted to do and make. And one of the ideas was for a retail storefront called Please Come Again. And this was like back in 2013. And the idea was basically we'd rent a retail storefront, and you'd go in one day and it would be one thing, and you'd go in the next day it'd be another. So you go in and it'd be like, Elvis only karaoke bar, right? And then the next, a month later you go down and it's like a restaurant that is Thanksgiving themed and only serves Thanksgiving food, right? So these just kind of like weird, quirky ideas, and it would all be housed under the same location. But we'll come back to that. We wanted to kind of start by giving you guys a snapshot of where we both came from, just so you know sort of our backgrounds and how they're totally unrelated to food and ice cream. Both of our journeys are nonlinear, very zigzag. By a show of hands, how many of you guys feel like you know exactly what you want to do? No? Yeah. When we were sitting in your spots, like, it was the same thing. And in 10 years, if you can think about the weirdest thing that you could possibly imagine yourself doing in 10 years, like, you might not be too far off. So anyways, just something to think about. Here's a picture of me from junior high, yeah. And I started in junior high because that's when I got my first job, right? And you guys are going to be working probably, you know, you guys, if you start from junior high, you're going to be in school for like 15 years and then working for another like 15 years to the rest of your life. So I would recommend not to rush school. Like if you are thinking about going back to grad school, do it. If you want to take a break and do something different, then go back, do it. If you want to go to trade school, if you want to learn anything else, do it. Because you're not going to have another time in your life where you can go back to school and really sort of enjoy yourself that way. But you can work for the rest of your life. So my first job, I worked at like Orchard Plant Nursery, which is kind of like a Home Depot meets like Pico, right? Second job, I worked at Foot Locker, just like slinging shoes kind of thing. I was a parking attendant at like a water slide, which was kind of fun, but like super hot. I worked at Old Navy, which is terrible because they play the same music over and over again and just like lose your damn mind. I was the manager of a candy shop for a long time, and that was one of the coolest jobs I've ever had, actually. I was a lifeguard, like a pool lifeguard for a long time. Great job, too, paid well, and it was really boring, but it was awesome. I worked in retail clothing even after school, so I thought I had these big dreams of like what I would do after college, but I was graduated into a recession, so could not get a job. Like nobody could get a job. So I was just working at a shoe store, like a retail clothing store. And then finally I got a job at a design agency, and I saw for the first time in my life what was something that was very interesting to me and really caught my attention. So I kept on pursuing that path, and later got a job at an advertising agency, and that just like sparked every curiosity that I had. So I decided to go back to school to learn advertising. So I spent 2 years in grad school, left grad school, and I've been working since 2009 at ad agencies, tech companies later, big ones like Apple, Twitter, Nike, big clients. So I guess all that to say is Joe and I both had sort of pretty interesting careers in terms of what we did before ice cream. But I wouldn't define yourself by your job, and this is kind of my big takeaway. You should define yourself by your dreams, and also be good to yourself and know that dreams change. So on that same timeline, at one point I wanted to be a doctor, an artist, a writer, an engineer, a lawyer, a politician, a realtor, and then finally found my way into creative design and advertising. And then now we're entrepreneurs. But these two pictures here are actually two things that I'm most proud of. My wife and I, we did like a pop-up Burmese restaurant many moons ago, and then we also released published a magazine in the Bay Area that was really cool, kind of indie. And those are two of the most interesting things that I've ever done. But with that, I will hand the mic to Josephine.
My zigzag journey begins in high school in the last century, 1997. But in 2001, I got my first job. I was Winnie the Pooh. This is my favorite family photo of all time.
At Disneyland, yeah?
Yeah, Disneyland, sorry. Minor
not just Winnie the Pooh, like around
the
town.
streets,
Like
at
Waikiki.
I went to college and studied English and Psych at UCLA. After college, I decided to move to New York and live with my best friends, not knowing what to do. I ended up with an internship doing IT because I was like, I know computers. They offered me a $60K job, which at that time was major, but then I also got an internship to Psychology Today, a magazine, and I was like, Psych and English, those are my majors, it'll be perfect. And it was miserable. So it was a very expensive lesson, but a very important lesson for me to learn. Then when I was living in New York, I would just go to Barnes & Nobles and be like, I don't know what to do with my life, just like go meander to whatever book would catch my eye. I always found myself in advertising. And then I found this ad. It was by David Droga in the early 2000s, I guess. And I was like, a dick joke? You can get paid to make dick jokes? I'm your girl. And so I went on a quest to go into advertising. So I was applying for ad school in 2007 to 2008. I call that the dark ages. I did a couple admin assistant jobs because if you were a liberal arts major at that time, that's what you became. And then I got into art school. I went to Art Center in Pasadena.
It's a great school, amazing school.
I was getting a bachelor's in art direction, and I was like, this is my third bachelor, and also this is like $100K a year. What am I doing? And I had a friend who was like, well, my buddy is doing a master's in art direction, and you should talk to him. And that dude was Kyle. So I met Kyle in 2010. This is actually the very first day we hung out, and from that day, I knew we were meant to be. And so he had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like, whatever. I put all my stuff in my trunk. I was living in LA. I drove up to San Francisco to like trap my dude, and like, you know the end of the story.
She trapped me big time, big time.
But I maneuvered my way into an ad internship in San Francisco. I call this my Mad Men era. In 2011 to 2013, I was a copywriter at ad agencies. It was like at the advent of Instagram when we were just starting content creation. So I'd get to fly to New York every other month and just shoot content. And that was a blast. Then I accidentally created a company with some other ad friends called Manservants, which went viral, and I was able to quit my job for 2 years. But that is a whole other talk. If you wanted to Google it, you could. It'd be very embarrassing for me. After that, in 2016, since we were living in San Francisco, I was able to become a creative in tech. I worked at Airbnb. I was able to meet celebs. This is Rami Malek, which I'm like, why do I have a photo of Rami Malek and some random Ryan Gosling in my phone? But I do. Kyle was like, people are going to think that's me. No. I was able to travel the world, and it was amazing. In 2020, we had our first kid. I almost died. When I was pregnant with our second kid, I thought I might die again.
Childbirth.
Thank you. This is why we're a good partnership. I forget the little details. I was afraid I was going to die in childbirth for our second kid, so I published a couple books. And then in 2021, I got my dream job being a creative director at Square, creating content for them. And then I got laid off, which, as the story goes, is the best thing to ever happen to me and is the catalyst for starting Please Come Again.
I think what connects both of our stories is that we both have Asian parents from our generation. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but they didn't believe that creative jobs was even like a path. Right? They want you to be like an engineer or a doctor or lawyer or something respectful like that. You know, if you tell them that you want to be a designer or a creative director or a copywriter, they're just going to not even know what you're talking about. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah.
Like my mom thought copywriting was like, you know, the little C, like actual copyright. She thought it was like just stamping things.
Totally. You know? My dad he calls me, when he describes what I do to like friends, he goes, oh, Kyle's an artist. I'm like, I am not an artist, Dad. And we both like creativity because it's sort of, not necessarily because we were artistic or creative in that traditional sense, but mainly because we like to create something out of nothing. And if you like to create something out of nothing, these days, that's also called, it can be thought of as entrepreneurship, which is kind of interesting because back when we were younger, we never really thought about it like entrepreneurship. We thought about it more like creativity. And I think ultimately, a great entrepreneur is always a great creative. And also, while working full-time, Joe and I would pick up a lot of random side projects. So Please Come Again was not our first. In fact, we have a graveyard of projects that we either like abandoned or they failed or we just stopped doing them for one reason or another. Here are just a few of the probably dozens and dozens that we have. So up top there, we were like hot on this idea of creating these Mylar balloons that look like donuts and then turning those into like, you know, you give like a dozen balloon donuts to people as kind of a gift.
They're literally underneath our bed right now.
Yeah, we actually got those created. We just never like launched the thing. We also were like, oh, everybody's doing drop shipping on Amazon. Let's do a drop ship store on Amazon, right? This was like, I don't know.
2016.
This is when if we had done that and like committed to it, we probably would have had like a pretty good business by now. But we abandoned that. We like came up with this whole idea, launched these products, but just didn't follow through. And then we were like, oh, let's do supplements. Like herbal supplements are big right now. Let's get on, like we're good at designing, we're good at marketing. We even ran some ads for this product there and we got a lot of great traction, but we decided to drop it because it didn't feel like something that we loved, I think. And ultimately, we both were at our dream jobs. So Joe was at Square as a creative director. I worked as a creative director at like a surf travel tech company. And it was like literally the coolest job you could possibly imagine. But we both left because these jobs were just kind of soul crushing. You know, like you're on Zoom calls, there's no real connection, you're just like selling stuff to people that they don't even need. You know, it just felt really sort of sad, and we longed for like community and meaning and something kind of more real in our lives. And we also had this vision to build a community. You know, at the time we had kids, and we wanted a place where we could go to like hang out with our kids and friends and like eat and drink and just spend time, you know? So we wanted to create that thing. Here's some early iterations of the ideas that we kicked around. So, you know, we didn't have the money to do it, so we're like, what if we took like a failing restaurant and then took just a part of their business and rented out part of their kitchen and just sold pizza or something out of their place? What if we created an amazing outdoor sort of food hall that was like just better designed than most, and maybe it was like a food truck park? Because there's a lot of food truck parks, but not all of them have a soul, if you ask me. Or maybe we just do like the thing where you get a shipping container, drop it into like some kind of a empty lot and just turn it into something, right? Something from nothing. And this was kind of a later iteration. So before we did Please Come Again, one of the ideas we were kicking around is this idea called Neighborhood Beach. And we still might do it, by the way. But it's just essentially that. We just take an empty lot and we create this amazing space for people to hang. Put a bunch of food vendors, maybe all the food vendors are ours, and we activate the space with like movie nights and, you know, different kind of social events. But ultimately, we knew that we needed to focus. So if you're a creative person, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably have like an idea a day, and the hardest part is deciding which to do and which not to do. So we wanted to focus on one simple brick and mortar. And at the time, I'm trolling Facebook Marketplace for like things, as you guys might do, and this ice cream machine came online, and turns out this woman from the North Shore who owned a place called Scoops of Paradise was closing her ice cream shop, and she sold us all of her equipment for like 10 grand. I don't know if I should say that on YouTube, but that's what happened. And what's amazing about that is it gave us what we needed at such a sort of low investment to start an ice cream shop. And then we became really good friends with this woman, Patty, who taught us how to make ice cream, taught us how to run a shop, taught us everything that we would need to know about ice cream. And we're still friends with her to this day, and we're super grateful that she opened the door for us and essentially helped us pick ice cream. And a year later, we never would have thought, we made the cover of Honolulu magazine last year, and we did Best of Honolulu as well, like pretty amazing. We've been covered by a ton of incredible influencers. We were friends with a lot of them now, which is awesome.
Then we never had to pay.
Never had to pay. Do you guys know what's Only Foods 808? Love that guy. He's amazing, right? Super cool guy. He's come by a lot. We've been on Keihan and Hawaii News Now. It's just been like kind of a trip, to be honest, within a year to have this kind of success. Coming up too, we're working with the Lohilani Resort to have a Please Come Again ice cream cart at their pool. And if that goes well, maybe we'll have more, which is pretty awesome. And we're also thinking about a new location. So we're looking at new locations for Please Come Again every day. Maybe, like I said, maybe in Manoa, maybe Kakako, maybe Kaimuki. Yeah, I can see like but we're looking and we're thinking about it. We're dreaming about what our next new sort of big headquarters location will look like and be like. And also, at our 1-year anniversary, do you guys know Nick Kurosawa? He's an incredible indie artist based here locally.
He was like a #1 on Spotify at the end of the year. You're like,
yeah.
So stan him.
So we reached out and we're like, hey man, do you want to perform in the shop? We love you. And he did. He was like, yep, let's go. So, I mean, we never would have dreamed that one of our favorite artists would perform in our ice cream shop. And that's been kind of one of the great joys that we've had the honor of.
So that's the highlight reel, but as you guys know with entrepreneurship, there's challenges. And this is probably the most popular question that we get. What's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome? And we have many.
So many.
So many. So starting with the first one, as you've seen from this presentation alone, we're idea people, and so we can get really lost in what should we do. There's the food park idea. Maybe we do it with the playground. Maybe we do a coffee shop with the kids' playground. Okay, fine, let's do ice cream. But if it's ice cream, is it a big amphitheater kind of thing where the whole neighborhood can come? Or maybe it's just a small, tiny thing, and maybe another company will let us have a window in their shop. Or maybe we'll find like the perfect square-sized or square footage for our small shop. What we've learned is when in doubt, don't do the branding first, model it out. So start with the financial model. Figure out how much effort you need to put into it to get the revenue that you want. For us, this is not just a business model, but really become our plan. So for example, we're just going to give like simple back of the math. Something that we do is we'll take the number of customers per day times how much they spend equals your revenue, and then you take a portion. So for example, if you're going to start with 100 customers a day, let's say they buy 2 ice creams, $10 average order value, you're going to make $1,000 a day, 30 days in the month, you're going to have $30,000 a month in revenue. Okay, sounds cool, but then now let's think about your expenses. Let's say that 30% goes to making the ice cream, so cost of goods sold. The other 30% is your operational expense, so let's say your payroll, your rent, debt that you had to put into the business. You're left with 20%. So are you happy with a $6,000 a month paycheck? You might be, but if not, like we weren't, you're either going to have to up your customers a day, go up on marketing, maybe find a higher foot traffic location, or you're going to have to up your AOV. So can you sell merch? Can you sell flights? And that's what we've done to have a sustainable business. But if we're ever down on these numbers, then we're scrambling to make it all work. Wrong way. Another challenge, well, the truth is every day is a freaking challenge. Every single day is different, and even today we're like, what is happening? Every day you have to hunt every dollar. It's not like every 2 weeks you get money in your bank account like when you're on a salary. If you don't hunt it, it's not going to come. We've had days where we've made ice cream until midnight and then the electricity goes out. We'll come in and then, oh no, the shop's broken, or the sink's broken, which makes the shop broken. Cleaning rules everything around me. That was a hard learning curve for me. I thought running a shop was making ice cream and serving it to people. Nope, it's 80% cleaning. It's even changed how we hire. We look for people who have OCD. Other way. The bills are overdue, and you have to play money Tetris to get them paid. Money Tetris is what I call cash flow. It's just moving money all day long. It's a fun hobby I have now. There's people everywhere all the time. For an introvert like me, this is very exhausting. And not only are there people everywhere, they're calling in sick, and they're also asking for more money. Guess what? There's a Q&A session for the local high school or college, yay! But also that day, a hot new restaurant wants to put you on their menu, and it's a custom flavor. Fire up the test kitchen. And then your star employee left the freezer open, and now all the ice cream is melted. True story, that happened like 3 days ago.
I mean, it's happened like 3 times.
And so you have to think that this is exciting and fun like we do, which means you're like a little messed up in the head, I guess, a special human being. You just have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable and have a high tolerance for anxiety and ambiguity. What else? Well, there's the challenge of working together, which we get asked about all the time. It's not all like wedding photos like this photo shoot came out to be.
We fight all the time about a lot of things. Like our
this presentation alone.
Even this presentation, like what you don't see is we fought about it. Like what to put in it and like who does what.
Creative differences.
Yeah.
Oh, design it like
do
this.
It that way. Let's do it this
that.
way. Don't forget this, But our biggest fights, thankfully, are about the shop and not about more substantive.
Deeper, yeah. So we just have to remember love above all. Our marriage policy is don't fight longer than a drive to North Shore. For some reason, every time we go to North Shore, we get in a fight, but we'll make up by the time we get back to Kailua, where we live. And so you just have to let it go, remember what's important.
And that goes for, your partner, your lover partner, or your business partner, or even friends,
Next challenge, this one's a fun one. We are not just small business owners, but we are small people owners, aka parents. There are these people that we made that we are now responsible for.
They're super cute, but we have to like talk to them all the time and feed them and
they
put them
want
to
so
bed.
many things. We always say, oh, I wish I could be working all night long like we did in our 20s and 30s, and we can't.
But the moral of the story, though, is if you have a business idea and you don't have kids, like do it now and do it hard and go for it.
Well, you have all the energy.
Yeah.
And don't have bags under your eyes.
Because when you have kids, you lose all that time and it becomes harder and you feel guilty about it too. So
what we've had to do is build systems so that the shop can run on its own and make kind of expensive hires so that we can stay true to our values. When we opened, we worked the shop maybe for an entire month, and we missed weekends with them, birthday parties with them, and we felt really bad, and we're like, this is not why we opened this business. We opened the business so we can have more time with our kids. And so systems and building a team is crucial. We've had to say no to some important things, and really we have to be kind to ourselves because we beat ourselves up about things not being perfect, but our kids are more important at the end of the day. And that value also extends to the shop. People have to call out because, the other day, unfortunately, somebody's dad had a heart attack. And we're like, no problem, we will work for you. And it's important I love seeing a business as a way to extend your own values and how you want to see the world. So our last and maybe favorite challenge, there's the never-ending, overwhelming, debilitating self-doubt that always creeps in to any moment of silence.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing with our lives? Like, why are we doing this? Should we be doing this?
This is a photo of my mom, my Asian mom, cleaning the shop and helping set it up in the early days. And one day, she was like scrubbing the floor, and then she looked at me and she was like, I sent you to university. You are getting a job getting paid more money than I could ever think. And why are you leaving it for minimum wage and me scrubbing the floor? And I'm like, Mom, like, a business is untapped potential. I'll make more money later. This is investment, I promise. And she's proud of me now, I think, I hope. Then there's the two kids that we have, their tuition, our mortgage payment, our car payment, just these never-ending bills that you're feeling like, okay, if we have a slow month at the shop, how are we going to handle this? And then sometimes Kyle will just text me, should I get a job? I'm like, no, man, because remember, nothing but dreams.
Nothing but dreams, man. Like, life is way too short to do anything but something you really want to do. And that goes for business ideas or just like anything.
Yeah, dream big and design the life of your dreams. That's what we've been able to do, and we really haven't been happier.
I think what's cool about it is we've got a bright future ahead. So,
pew, 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 pew.
So the way that we're thinking about it is we're not just an ice cream shop or like making ice cream. We love ice cream, don't get me wrong, but we are building this kind of experiential empire. And we love this idea of creating this sort of almost like a restaurant group for experiences, right? So cool things, whether it's ice cream or whatever. And next up, we're doing fancy hot dogs. Does anybody like hot dogs? So hot dogs are amazing. So when I say fancy hot dogs, I don't mean like Costco hot dogs. I mean like an amazing high-end sausage, right? Like with all the fixings on it, like beautiful, very like Instagram, TikTok ready, something like that. So we're, amazingly, we got the opportunity because the space next door to our ice cream shop opened up. And they're like, hey, do you want it? And we said, okay. So we scrambled to go through our like Rolodex of ideas that we wanted to do and decided that the hot dog shop would be great next to ice cream. So we're doing it. And this should be open in like late March if we're lucky. Seeing these pictures, does that help? You guys want to go? Maybe? Yeah? Cool. Glad to hear it, because you're making me scared. Nobody's like really excited. So, yeah. So the cool thing is it's right next to the ice cream shop, like literally next door. So it's the kind of thing where you can get, a savory dinner and then get dessert right next door. It can be like a cheap date night or like a family outing, and we love that idea. It's going to be called Little Pickle. And Little Pickle is one of our sons' nicknames, or both of our sons' nicknames.
No, one of them is Cornichon.
Cornichon and Little Pickle. Cornichon is like a little pickle, and Little Pickle. Anyways, so it's going to be called Little Pickle. This is what the shop will look like. So we always like to do sketches or renderings of what the shop will look like, so we have like a vision of what we're going for. This is kind of the vibe. So very kind of like streetwear, hip hoppy, kind of fun, rebellious sort of hot dogs. Pretty cool, yeah? But ultimately, I think, what we want to do is just challenge you all to create the things in the world that you want to exist. And that's kind of how we do it. Like we want ice cream, a cool ice cream shop. We want, amazing hot dog shop. So we just make it. And I think, I don't know, there's something really powerful about that, right? Just like wanting something and then just making it. Oh, and that's it. Yeah, so if everybody will now pull out their phones, open up Instagram, TikTok, or whatever social platform you're on, and follow us on Instagram. Like and follow, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, make posts about it, go get ice cream. That would be the best way you could help us. And if you haven't been to the shop, please come out to the shop. And if you do, DM us and let us know, and we'll give you a tour. Cool. That's it. That's it. Did I forget anything?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hey, no questions? Let me bring it to my.
Just any way to give the mic. Actually, just take this for me. Yeah.
Thank you guys. That was really interesting. So I'm a second-year graduate student over at the School of Architecture. So
Oh,
I live
cool.
across the street, basically.
Amazing.
I'm really interested in your physical, brick and mortar space. So 2 questions. One, how did you pick the space? And number 2, did you hire an architect for your interior design, or who did the interior design?
How we picked the space, it was inexpensive. it was street facing. So we knew that we wanted street facing, high traffic. Kailua is actually not that high traffic, so we didn't luck out there. But it was
privately owned, was it?
Privately owned too. Like we didn't want to work with a big corporate landowner. Not to mention any names, but just because we wanted the ability to sort of pop out the window like we did. And we did not hire an architect. I designed most of that, actually. So we come from creative backgrounds, and Joe and I fight and argue and get excited about design. So her and I, between us, we do most of the design for the physical space. But we would love to work with an architect if you know one.
We are working with one on the parklet.
We are. So we are working with one for the parklet. So we're doing like a parklet outside of our new shop. But DM us. Like if you wanted to work on a project, we would gladly work with you.
Yeah, that architecture firm, I think it's called AMA AE. They did the Farm Link shop and
local shop.
Yeah, they're really talented.
Honolulu or the coffee. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
Any other questions?
Are
Questions?
fun.
Yeah.
Why food? And during the process, did you ever have any reservations when it came to health inspector type stuff?
Yeah.
For food, one of our main problems in our tech world was that we were lonely. And so we were thinking, how can we bring the neighborhood together and also make friends and also have hospitality. I feel like we're generous, giving people, and we want a place to put that. And so food is really the way to express that. And I think you really have to want to do food because you're seeing restaurants close all over the place, and that can be really scary. But when you want to give through food, I think there's just something in you that can't stop you. So it's almost like we couldn't not do it. Kyle's also an amazing chef.
And the health inspector question, yeah, it's tough. You got to pass inspection, and depending on where you're located, you get like a tough inspector. Like Waikiki has a bunch of tough inspectors, and we had never opened up a restaurant before, so we didn't know a lot of things. And I remember the health inspector came, and we popped out the window and put the seating, and the health inspector walked in.
She didn't even say hi to us.
She was like, yeah. Just gave us this crazy look, like, what are you doing, right? And we kind of knew that she would not like that, but we did it anyways.
Well, we had to seal up the kitchen so that we could get approved.
She gave us notes, lots of notes, and right when we thought we could open, we had to wait another 2 weeks to seal everything, put a special magnetic sealed kitchen kind of thing, all these things that we never thought we'd have to do. Which is good though, because it makes me think, well, great, I'm eating at restaurants that are hopefully as clean and safe as ours.
I actually have a lot of questions.
Okay.
The First one is, did you guys do the illustration? Because they were really pretty. Did you guys draw it?
We did not, no. We worked with an incredible illustrator in France named Louis Clusina.
Do you mean the space illustrations? Oh, yeah.
Those.
Space.
Oh, no. I got a guy for those. Yeah.
He goes on Fiverr, but he
Yeah.
briefs them very, very well.
Thoroughly,
like does all the measurements, brings in reference,
Yeah.
all the things.
It's pretty. And also, how long does it take for you guys to have the idea and for the idea to actually come through? Because, kind of like what you mentioned, there's inspection, there's a lot of things that will happen. How long does it take for your dream to actually come true?
So for Please Come Again, famously, because we were still working, it took us 500 days. We did a different presentation, so that's how we know it's 500 days. But we probably got our lease in July, and then we were able to open in November. We thought we were going to open in September, but because of the health inspection stuff and all the renovations after that, we didn't open until November. For Little Pickle, we got our lease in December. Yeah, mid-December, and we're hoping to open by mid-March, but we've never made hot dogs before, so
Yeah.
follow us on the journey.
Yeah. I think the time it takes will get shorter and shorter as we do it more, and as long as we're opening up restaurants and not like crazy things, Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do have one.
Yes.
There's a lot of ice cream shop on the island,
Yeah.
just a lot of restaurants in general. What makes you guys stand out so much that even though you're very new, but a lot of people know about you and you guys are the number one for the magazine?
Oh,
That's a big one. I'm kind of afraid to answer that one, actually,
yeah, why are you
Yeah.
giving it to me?
because you're more articulate than I am, so.
No, that's not true.
Oh, man. There are a lot of great...
Oh, I have one. Well, so
Think of-
that's a question that we think about a lot, right? Especially as we're going from ice cream to hot dogs, what makes us us? And for us, it always comes down to the experience. And by experience, we have 4 core values, and one of them is design every detail. And for us, that's the store experience. So when we train, we tell our whole staff, this needs to feel like a family party. When you're serving ice cream, we don't want it to be would you like some samples? Okay, and it's very transactional, and then you pay at the end. We're no, make a friend. Talk story, get to know them. The next time they come back around, we want you to get down with them. I don't know, we reward our employees if they are now following each other on Instagram or something, and we feel like that builds community. And then when you come to our shop, you just get a happy vibe, that's fun, and that you want
Yeah.
to return to again and again.
I think the design of the space too is a huge sort of differentiator. Whether it's the current space or the new space or any space we do, we're always going to be thinking about how can we make this unique and interesting and something that people have never seen before. So because of that, we try not to work with these gigantic corporate, commercial landowners, because it's hard to find spaces that they own that are unique and fun and funky. And a lot of times they won't let us pop out a window, but we can work with a mom and pop's privately owned building and be hey, we're going to pop out this window. And they're okay. So,
I think the other thing for the Honolulu magazine, I think we always downplay the product a bit. Maybe we're humble about it, but we are really committed to the highest quality ingredients. So the milk itself, it's an 100-year-old dairy farm. They're grass-fed. There's no antibiotics. They never fed any chemicals. They're just really happy cows that produce a lot of milk. So it's really creamy. It's 14 to 16% butter fat. And then Hawaii has amazing agriculture. If when you have a Hayden mango, you can't F it up. And we just put it in the ice cream, and it tastes amazing. And not every shop does that. Our Kona snow ice cream is 100% Kona beans, and you won't find that at every other shop. Very expensive to do that.
We have close and personal relationships with a lot of these farms. In fact, this past weekend, we were at one of the farms that we get our mangoes from, just helping them pick taro. Kalo, sorry. And it was awesome. We try to do that whenever we can. We do farm visits. We have a relationship with Tradition Coffee, Manoa Coffee. I'm probably forgetting a lot, but
friends
and family. It's all kind of just friends, yeah.
That's the best part about having a business. It's friends working together.
But we probably should talk more about the ice cream, because I feel
well, you guys will get to try it soon.
We tend not to.
You can tell us what you think.
Speaking of the ice cream, I feel like Please Come Again is known for their variety of Asian flavors. Do you feel like these flavors represent you guys? And then can you name your favorite flavor and their story?
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like we say that ice cream's a canvas for community, and really we're just getting the produce and the ingredients from local artisans who are Pan-Asian, and so we don't set out to have like an Asian-themed restaurant. It's just, I guess, what Hawaii is and a reflection of it.
Yeah, but that being said, my favorite flavor is shiso mint chip, and my second favorite flavor is rose lychee. And I love rose lychee because I'm half Burmese, and in sort of Middle Eastern and South Asian countries, they have faluda. Anybody know what faluda is? Like Indian faluda, and it's like this kind of like rose milk, kind of like boba-y, sort of halo kind of thing. And rose lychee was sort of modeled after that. So there are a lot of like personal stories that help us decide about what flavors to do. What's your favorite, Joe?
I think I'm a coffee girly. I like Vietnamese iced coffee. It's Tradition Roasters cold brew, and then a lot of condensed milk. We brought some today.
Are you also a
classic.
matcha girly?
I'm not a matcha girly yet, but we do have a really good Earl Grey matcha.
Any more questions? Yeah.
You and then
Yep.
you
We got
go
two up
after
here.
her.
Thank you so much for your story. Kind of related to what she said, but you guys make the flavors, or did you guys make them?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just read every cookbook that we could, and then we made it up.
Which flavor was like the hardest or took you the most time?
Oh my God.
There's flavors that we've
I would
tried
say like
and can't do.
Yeah, so we did a kalo milk tea boba that probably took 3 months because we're not from Hawaii, so we didn't know how to like make poi, and so eventually the farm made poi for us, and then it was a lot easier. But learning how to work with kalo was really
Yeah, like
difficult.
we've been trying to make a sweet tomato flavor that we haven't been able to get, or just nail. What's the other one that we have? Oh, pickle. I wanted to do a pickle, not a pickle mango, but like a pickle flavor. And we just cannot get it right. It's just too weird. So there's like, for every 10 flavors you see that are like amazing, there's like 20 that are complete failures. And we're always like, our home is like a test kitchen. So we're always just kind of, if you go into our freezer, you'll see there's just like randomly labeled ice cream, like all these random flavors. And she'll order a bunch of stuff on Amazon because she wants to try, a flavor, or we'll pick up some random fruit, like breadfruit we just got. And we're like, let's make ice cream out of it,
Yeah, that's our next challenge. Ulu.
Yeah, it's a lot of exploration.
I'm excited for your new flavor.
Right on. Thank
But we
you.
take requests.
Yeah, if you guys have any requests of things you want to see,
There's one over here.
let us know.
One question back here.
Okay, cool.
Hello. Okay. When starting off, as I know, like right now, currently, you guys locally source your ingredients for your ice cream. When starting off, was there ever any like thought in your mind that you may want to use stuff that's not locally sourced? Because I know like the risk of starting a business like this, right? You kind of like think about like potential loss if it doesn't work out. So was there any like thought about using not locally sourced ingredients at the start? Because I guess because like with our problem right now with how we import almost 90% of our food, the reason is because it's cheaper, right? So since that's cheaper, like, did that thought come across your mind?
Yeah, actually, we debated about it a lot, and we believe as a small business, like you have to be the change you want to see in the world, and so we see sourcing locally as an investment, even though it is so much more expensive. And all the time we'll be like, oh, what if we just bought that? Our margins would be so much bigger, but is that what we want? And is that modeling what we want to see other businesses do? And can Hawaii's economy be sustainable if we all behave that way? No, we've always known that it was going to be local.
It's also difficult and not always possible too. Like I would say 90% of the time we source locally, and then 10% of the time we just can't find mangoes
matcha.
or something because they're not in season at that very moment. So we have, it's kind of like a lot of give and take. But we do support the local economy, and that's a big part of what we do. We probably don't talk about it enough, but it's a huge and important value.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that's it.
You guys mentioned on-site production of flavors before, but were there any other flavors that you actually made and expected to be really popular, but it didn't end up working?
Oh man, like can you think of one like that? Like I don't know. Ones that we thought would be popular that didn't work out. They're just all so popular.
Well, no, I mean, there's definitely, so vegan is super popular, and our vegan base is coconut, and it doesn't always have the best consistency. So like right now we have a lilikoi crumble, and it's awesome when it's milk, because it's like milk and lilikoi butter, and then shortbread cookies, but when we try to make it vegan, the coconut is just kind of but we want to provide for that community, and so I would say on the vegan side, there's a lot of workshopping to do.
Yeah, I think another thing too is like people really like things like cookies and cream. And I'm always like, oh, I don't want to make cookies and cream, but people love cookies and cream. Like crushed up Oreos in anything, people love. And it's just funny because I'm always kind of a naysayer, like, oh, I don't like doing that because it doesn't feel special. It feels like Oreo cookies and ice cream. But I'm always surprised how many people love that and love these kind of like just Rocky Road, these kind of like traditional ice cream bangers that have nothing to do with like Asian flavors that we like. So we're constantly humbled by that and surprised.
We also collect a lot of data. So before we launched, we came up with maybe 50 flavors, and then we gave it to 100 people, and they all circled their favorite, and like mango sticky rice was #1. So we knew that was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then right now we'll like poll on our Instagram, which matcha flavor do you want to see? And it was strawberry matcha, which I didn't really want to make, but people want to buy it.
People love it. And if you have ideas, just DM us. A lot of times, one of our best ideas, miso salted caramel, came from a guy who was stationed, a military guy stationed in Okinawa. And he's like, have you ever had miso and ice cream? And we're like, no. And we made it like that next week. And
Some people get to try it today. It's one of our
One of our most popular ones, yeah. People love it. It's good.
Sorry, one more.
Yeah.
This is for my own sake in the future, but how many different samples can I ask for before you guys?
So we have
No
16
limit.
flavors. You
No
can ask
limit.
for 16.
You can ask for 17. You can go 25. If you're like,
we
oh,
believe in the flavor tour.
if you want to try like one over and over again, you can totally do that. Yeah. There's no limit. No limit to magic. Yeah.
Come to the shop.
Yep.
I'm also interested in the flavors, but I wanted to know about you guys' social media. I did follow you, by the way.
Thank
but,
you.
It seems like you guys are really on it, and I wanted to know kind of like if that played a role in your success and how so, and just kind of what the numbers.
So
That's what I did in my
Yeah.
corporate life. I was creative director for content for social since like the birth of Instagram. So I always joke and say like, if we're not able to do it for our own brand, then I was just a hack, So you're right. I think
Yeah.
social has played.
Social's everything. I mean, social is marketing now, And Joe is won't toot her own horn, but she's incredible at it. And I'd say like 90% of what you see in our social is like Joe. So we're fortunate that way.
Yeah, that's really good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next step.
Throughout the Black Tech inclusion, you guys said multiple times that you found a dream job, and you guys worked in so many amazing companies and places. My question is like, is this eventually you guys doing with the ice cream and eventually like the hot dog places, that's going to be like your long-term focus, or is this something like another short-term thing, and once you get success, you kind of just jump into another thing, or is this finally something you guys truly invest in personally and passionately?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I asked Kyle, so we're old, and I always ask Kyle, what are we doing when we're 50,
Yeah.
right?
Which is
and
not
I
that
feel like it
far.
will be a different chapter. I don't know what it is, but we're open to, we know we evolve. Like
Yeah.
we get along because we have lived so many different lives, and like, we just roll with the changes, and I don't know, we have ADD.
We have ADD. We have like short attention span, so I think we'll probably be doing it or some form of it, but it'll change. It'll
Yeah.
change. It'll evolve. It'll grow. Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. So
Like,
who knows?
we always
Nobody
joke
knows,
around
yeah.
that the hot dog shop we're moving into, just like 2 years ago, it was scones, and like our son was in there, and he got like a free lovey from the owner, and we're like, who would have thought on that day that scone space would be like our hot dog shop? Like we would just never. We're not good at predicting our own futures.
Yeah, and also like, who knows what's gonna happen next to all of us, right? I don't know, World War III might happen to like next week, I don't wanna put that out in the world, but
Yeah, not to be deathy.
Not to be deathy, but I'm pretty deathy, but you never know what's gonna change the trajectory of your life, It may be within your control, it may be outside of your control, and I think what separates you is if you evolve or sort of what you can make of whatever happens.
I feel like that's comforting though, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to figure out your whole life.
Yeah.
As long as you are happy from now to 5 years, do a 5-year plan, you're gonna be in a good spot.
I have a question. I was wondering, what kind of input have your kids given you, and what have you taken? And then my second question was, when you guys fight about stuff, and like emotions are high, how do you guys come back and center yourself?
Yeah.
Those are very good questions. Our kids are probably our first taste testers.
They'll just be like, yuck.
They did not like the
Yucky.
tomato. That's why we haven't come out with it.
Yeah, they'll just be like, yuck, or like, I hate this, or like, and we'll just kind of know,
Yeah, it helps resolve fights about flavors with us, because we also fight about flavors. We have
Yeah.
very different palates.
Yeah, yeah. And then how we resolve fights, I think we just kind of,
One of us gets tired of,
and then just kind of
it's like so much energy to be mad,
Yeah.
It would be like,
somebody apologizes, and then I think we're really good at fighting and also
Like recovery.
recovery.
Fight.
And I think if your recovery time is shorter and condensed and easy, and maybe even outside of the other end of recovery, you feel like love, I think that helps a lot. And you won't always find that in your partner, business partner, romantic partner, otherwise, yeah.
I have one more question. Because going back to your presentation, you guys spend a lot of time on the mainland, and my thing is what made you pick Hawaii and invest your time and effort in raising a family here and putting a business in here when realistically it could be easier to do the same idea on the mainland in more popular cities and more high traffic areas?
it's funny because we actually say, I don't think we could do this on the mainland. Sometimes we say if we did this in San Francisco, it'd be really hard.
Well, in some ways, it'd be cheaper. The margins would be higher. We would easily find more talent and people to hire. There's a lot of reasons why it could work in the mainland, but our lives are here. Like our family is here. Our kids don't even remember what it's like back in the Bay Area. So for us, it just feels natural. Like it feels like this is our home, and we have no choice but to make this special.
But I mean, why here? We moved here for the value system. We came from San Francisco where everybody is high anxiety and really out for themselves. And Kyle has always felt like this is a place where people look like him, and I've always felt like this is a place where I can actually be myself and be generous and smile at people, and it's not weird. Now I go back and smile at people in New York, and it's just bad.
Yeah, if you ever travel somewhere and you go to a place and you're like, man, I love this place. This feels like home. You should move there, no matter where that is. Just move there and try it out. Because I think there's nothing like finding a place that feels like you can be more of yourself. You'll do your best work. You'll find the most interesting people. You'll find your partner, your love, your everything.
But we want a place where we can give back, and part of why we moved here was we met Jordan from Keep It Kaimuki, and we're like, wow, he's really inspiring. This community is really inspiring. We can see ourselves with this group of people, and yeah, we just wanted a way to give back to this community and actually feel connected to it.